What is up, internet? It's your boy Alan, back with another video, and guess what? I'm in Shanghai. I can't believe I made it to Shanghai. And in this video, I want to talk about my first impressions of Shanghai. I've been here for 48 hours so far, and I am doing the 10-day visa. So you have to fly from a country, for example, USA to China, then to Hong Kong, for example. But for my flight path, I went from Vietnam to China to USA. And I didn't get the full visa, but I got the 10-day visa. And immediately when I got to immigration, it was pretty straightforward. There's a separate visa line you have to go in to that's next to the regular immigration line. And I noticed something, which was a lot of Russian tourists were in China. I feel like in America, you rarely see any Russian tourists because I think the political ties are pretty weak, and I think I don't think Americans are even allowed to go to Russia and then vice versa. But there's a lot of Russian tourists, and I think it's because they have strong political ties with China. The visa regulations have been more relaxed for them as well. It's pretty easy for them to get visa. And I think they also have stronger buying power because recently I think Russian currency has lost some of it has been devalued recently. So they like to come here to China and spend it. I also noticed a lot of Korean tourists as well because I think visas are easier for them to get as well. And then there's social media influencing them on China. Same with Americans as well, and it's really close for them. And then I rarely see any Americans. Maybe I saw a small group of American tourist travelers, but I think China has been really opening up their tourism more to folks to stimulate economic growth, as well as to build a more positive perception of China, and I think it's working. I think a lot of more Westerners have been posting videos in China, and it's been pretty positive. Also, from my impressions, I think Shanghai has been very positive. It's a super modern society. Like, the infrastructure is pretty impressive. It's super clean. It's a way nicer version of New York City, I'd say. I don't know if I can compare it to New York. You could probably compare it to Miami, like in the US. It has a lot of greenery. There's a lot of trees in the city, and some of the architecture is pretty similar, but the architecture is also European influence as well. But the city is also very quiet because they have a lot of EVs. Surprisingly, I thought there would be more smog and pollution. I don't know if it's the time of year I'm in, but I feel like I've been able to breathe really well here. And in terms of cleanliness, it just depends on what district you're in. If you're in the more touristy districts, it's going to be a little bit dirtier. And then Shanghai, or China in general, they operate on a cashless society. So you have to use Alipay or WeChat, and it's pretty seamless because all their apps are integrated inside of Alipay. For example, Didi, which is the Uber of China, is integrated inside Alipay, so you can just call a car directly through them. I think the con of just being a cashless society is, obviously, if you're a foreigner and some of your credit cards don't work, then you're kind of cooked. So I've been using my Visa card, which has been working, but my buddy's Visa card didn't work, and his Amex was working. So I think if you ever come to China, make sure you have multiple credit cards from different providers, just to make sure that everything is squared away. Because if you're not able to get it set up with Alipay, you're basically not going to be able to pay for anything. But it's pretty convenient. You just scan your QR code and you pay, and then you leave. In terms of pricing, it's frankly, I guess it's cheaper than New York City, but it's pretty expensive at times, actually. I think if you eat at local food restaurants, it's gonna be really cheap, but we've been going to nice rooftop bars and stuff, and each drink is around $25, $20-25. Pretty pricey. maybe like even a bit more expensive than New York City, and a little bit more expensive than New York City, or similar pricing. But I guess it makes sense because this is a major metropolitan city and the quality is pretty good. And I think the value is better here. And I also, for Ubers, for DDs, it's still pretty cheap. Maybe, for example, I was surprised about the cost of my ride from the airport to my hotel, which is around an hour. That cost me around $40, but it was an hour ride. So in New York City, or US, that probably hour ride would have been like $110, $120. So it is cheaper. And then I also realized I really like BYD cars. These things are freaking nice, and they are cheaper. I think BYD in the Chinese electric car game has gotten a lot better, because ever since Tesla brought their factories over here and started manufacturing their stuff, their EV cars really took off in terms of quality, and I think it's surpassed Tesla at this point. So I think that strategy worked for China in terms of taking one of the most innovative EV companies in the US and bringing them over here, and then they're able to build on top of that. But overall, I think Shanghai so far, first impressions, it's pretty impressive how the infrastructure has been so built up. You can look at how nicely well paved these roads are. Like, that's what I noticed a lot. All the roads are paved. There is rarely any potholes here. Also, the city is very safe. There's cameras everywhere. I don't really ever feel like I'm in bodily harm. It's a really safe city. I'm just worried the CCP might get me for doing something, but I don't really know. And I think Shanghai has probably some of the best malls I've ever been in. They're just super modern, nice. And the food is really good, really high quality, cheap and affordable. Except if you go to these rooftop bars or just bars in general, they get kind of pricey. But overall, my first few impressions of China have been, this is probably one of my top 3 favorite cities I've been to. It could be number 1 by the end of this trip, but we'll see. Shanghai is very westernized. There's a lot of Western comforts in terms of brands. Most of the service workers do speak English, a little bit at least, or you can get by. And I've been using Air Alo, it has a VPN built into it, so I've been able to access all of my usual apps. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles when you do travel to China, is a lot of your usual apps don't work. Like, I can't even use my computer and go on YouTube because I don't have a VPN, but on my phone I have that VPN, so I'm able to still access my normal apps. But overall, China, man, everybody's been really nice, really safe, super modern city. Not as affordable as I thought it would be, but it's to be expected in a major city like Shanghai. I think if I go to a less western or metropolitan city here in China, the cost of living would go down way more. But overall, I've really enjoyed my time here, and I'm excited to take in more information, and I'll tune in with another video just rounding out my overall thoughts of Shanghai. But man, it's been great so far, and I'm excited to see what comes next. So thanks for tuning to the Stream of Thought video. I'll see everybody in the next one. Peace.